All right, I want to welcome everybody out to the Seekers podcast. Normally, my co-host is Neil Hole and Thomas Anderson and Dale here. I got a message here from one of our other guests that might be on. Anyway, I let them know that we're live right now. If you want to come on to the show, Barry Robinson from Kentucky, I think it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to talk with Dale here and see if he's had any new activity. He lives over, they call it Libby Route from anybody around here, but it's the cutoff that goes from Heber to Payneburn, and he's had all kinds of Bigfoot activity that we've documented and did a couple of shows over there, an investigation where we had something come right down by his house while we was there, and we was doing a live video like this. So I'm just going to turn it over to Dale and let him tell about the recent activity that he's had more that's there. So there you go, Dale.
Not a whole lot of stuff that I have documented. There was some kind of activity going up there on the side of the mountain the other day. There was a lot of big crashing, banging, booming, lots of trees moving. So I'm not sure if something just cut loose or something got shoved over or torn down. So I'm not really sure about it yet. I got to get up in there and see what's going on. Cover's pretty dense up in there, so it's kind of. I had to I got me a new dog here. It's a little German Shepherd. He's a pretty rough customer, so I would take him up there and see what's going on.
Yeah, I see what's going on and see any new changes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And the next time I see you, I have some Bigfoot and Bound window decals for you that
sweet.
Thomas sent to me. I think 4 of them he's giving you, so that'd be cool.
Oh, awesome.
They're about 5 by 8.
Really?
Big enough you can see them, so
that's cool.
Pretty cool, I think.
I've had other people ask me about the ones that's on my window now, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. People's noticing,
Right. Yeah, I've had all kinds of people. It gets the word out there, and people say, "You really into that Bigfoot?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I've been a few times and had some strange occurrences and everything. Why have you had some?" And then they go right into telling what happened to them. It's good.
Yeah.
Foot in the
Sometimes
door.
Somebody just needs to break the ice,
Yeah. We're open for any questions, any viewers out there that y'all want to send. You can either email them to me at arkansasboys.com or you can leave a comment right here on StreamYard. You have to click the allow if you want us to be able to show your name and everything, like we got up here, my name and Dale's. But if you just want to leave a comment, it can be anonymous.
I want to send a quick message to somebody and see if they're free.
Yeah, we got plenty of room. We've changed our account to where we can have, instead of 6, we can have 10 for the next 6 months if we wanted them. Barry says he'll be on now. He's headed our way, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I have to go Crider. I'd like to get Robert on here and oops, where am I at? There am I. Oops. I got this. This laptop is a lot faster than my mouse that I have. I have a wireless mouse on it, and wireless mouse just lags like crazy. You can't keep up with it.
sometime during this hour, that's what we usually try to do our podcast at is an hour. Neil Ho, our other co-host, is going to jump in when he can. He's having to work some tonight, so when he's on his breaks, he's going to jump in with some recent activity up around OARC and stuff he wants to comment about.
Yeah.
I had one report, and I haven't. It's my own reason. I hadn't just worked it in to go check it out. It's been so hot around here. I ain't good with hot weather. Over towards Center Ridge.
Really?
Yeah. As had an activity that they was coming up into their garden, and
wow.
I need to get over there and check that out. That was last Friday night is when that happened, and
so that's interesting.
That's the first time I've heard of any one of them. I'm sure they do. It's just nobody happened to be. She was going out to water her garden late at night because she gets off work late. It's like 10 o'clock, but it's lit with the night light, which is in the front of the house. So it's still enough light out there to go and water it. You wouldn't need to water it until now. It's gotten so hot. So, but anyway, as she went out there, it stood up and took off. So
wow, I'd like to hear more about that. You need to check that out.
And that's getting close over in the same general area as Cleveland, and not too far from where Matthew, we was talking about him earlier, had his an encounter, and Frank McGuire had an encounter at Cleveland. So sometime or another, I'd like to get an investigation over there. If it ain't just us local boys, go over there and check it out.
Yeah, I'd like to try to follow up on that one also. That was right across the river from me.
Yeah.
I've been over around in there 2 or 3 times, and I hadn't been anybody home, so I just like, well, I'll catch them sooner or later.
Mm-hmm. Got our first question, and we get it normally. What got you into Bigfooting? It come through on email here, so I can't post it. But just the luck of the draw, really. As a young teenager, I heard something on a bluff side. I was on the bluff side and down below me, and it sounded like chattering of people talking, but I couldn't understand nothing of it, and it was splashing in the water. And finally, it unnerved me enough. I left out. I was spring squirrel hunting, what I was doing. And my uncle at that time had told me, stay away from there. That's where the woolly boogers live. And it just kind of sunk in my brain then. And then I really didn't think nothing about it until I was grown. And in 2015 is when we started actually investigating it and everything. And it was just as a hobby, something to do. And we went down to Fountain, and it just growed from there. What got you into Bigfooting, Dale?
Well, I tell you what, me and a bunch of old boys I used to run around with, we used to dirt bike together and everything. And we're out. We'd play follow the leader up in the mountains, and there was a section up in there that was just, there was no houses, no roads, no nothing, but it had some unbelievable hunting. And we were out in the wilds out there, and we was riding our dirt bikes, seeing who could follow who. We come up on an old town that was up in there, and there was an old saloon with an old wooden boardwalk in front of it. One old swinging door still hanging and everything. But we found one old cabin up in there that was it was pretty much intact. And so we got this idea. All of us deer hunted. We was like, we'll fix this thing up, and we'll go on up in there and we'll use that as a deer hunting camp. Well, we spent weeks up in there fixing this cabin up, rebuilding the fireplace on it and everything. And it took us was having to haul up everything up on dirt bikes. And this was back in 73, 72, 73. And we had never heard of no Bigfoot. I mean, we hadn't, the legend of Boggy Creek hadn't been out, nothing, so we didn't have a clue what was, anything about that. And our first night, we decided we were going to stay up there. I mean, about midnight, there was only two of us still awake, and we was all spread out all in front of the fireplace, keeping warm, and me and one other boy was talking about where we was going to go in the morning, who was going to go where, and cover all these different areas. And I mean, it sounded like all hell broke loose outside. The cabin was shaking, the walls was rumbling, the roof on it was getting pounded. Well, I mean, it was just crazy. And we're like, man, get everybody up and get them out, get their weapons and get packed up. We're out of here, And so we opened the door of this cabin and hit it with a big spotlight while these guys was hurrying up, getting their sleeping bag, everything rolled up. And I mean, there was nothing but red eyes all the way around us. And we was like, man, I don't know what this is, but they don't want us here.
Right.
So me and the other guy that was up with me, we had our guns all loaded and everything. We told everybody, get on your dirt bikes, crank them up, start ours up, and we're gonna cover y'all when you take off. So we stood out on the front porch of this old cabin, and we just emptied everything we had into the dark out there. Don't know if we hit anything or not. We was trying to scare it off, and everybody took off. Well, they started our dirt bikes for us, and boy, I mean, as soon as we run out of ammo, we jumped on them things, and we got the heck out of there, and we didn't go back, never. And
heck out of Dodge.
Yeah, and we didn't know what that was, and then we got to hearing about that legend of Boggy Creek, and I said, I think I know what that was. We got run out of there by a bunch of Bigfoot that night. I mean, it was the only thing it could be. Nothing else throws rocks like that, And I mean, it just about tore that cabin down. It was hitting up, and I think, hey, we got, hey, Barry.
Hey.
But that's what got me into it.
Right. That's it. That would definitely do it. And you'd want to find out what that was.
We picked up some echoes since Barry joined us. Got the headphones on, Barry?
No, I can try putting some on.
Yeah, that's what we had to do. We ended up putting headphones on.
Yeah, I got earbuds.
Sorry it was short notice there, Barry. Everybody bailed on me.
That's all right. I only got in from work about, hang on.
I'm glad you made it, though.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Your pretty face.
Yeah.
They help the echo?
No, it's good.
We got the normal question that popped up from the email. What got us into Bigfoot? And we both answered the question. So, what got you into Bigfoot, Barry? Oh, he froze up.
Ruh-roh,
Raggy. Huh. That same thing was happening to you before, Dale.
Oh, I know it. I couldn't figure out what was going on because I tried that second laptop and I never did ever get a chance, and I rebuilt that thing completely out of spare parts and got it.
We got Barry back.
I might have just blew my own eardrums out.
Oh no. Had it turned up too loud.
I just turned the headphones up as loud as they go. I still barely hear you.
It shows it's all the way up.
Hang on 1 second, I'll try a different pair.
I lost a little bit of volume. Not bad though.
Oh, a bad thing about these, the cord's so short, I'm gonna have to sit on top of it.
That's the way these are.
Well, that'll make an enjoyable show.
Is that any better?
I can hear you good.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here, Gary. We as agents, common question every time we got big. We done answer what you.
Well, ever since I was a little kid, I was interested in it for some reason. Just Dad brought a book home from the library, and I can picture it as clear as day. It was hardcover, black, with a guy and one of the Native American like totem pole things with a Sasquatch, like a wood carving.
Right.
And he brought it home, and I mean, it was leaps and bounds above my reading level at that time, but it had a lot of pictures. And he let me look at it, and I was hooked. I mean, just from the minute he let me see that book, I wanted to read everything I could get my hands on about Bigfoot. And I'd look at stuff like the Loch Ness Monster and UFOs and ghosts and stuff like that, but it just wasn't the same. Everything Bigfoot, for some reason, just fascinated me. And that was when I was like first, second grade, just learning to read. And fast forward probably 20 years, I was working over next county over, Scott County, coming home late one night, probably 2 or 3.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's going good and then fade out.
Screen went blank. I didn't know if I could still hear me or not.
Yeah, we can now.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was coming home late from work that night, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, started up this big steep hill, 3-lane highway, US 27 North, here in Harrison County, probably about 7 miles from the house. Now, I was in the fast lane because there was a little car in the right-hand lane. I was getting ready to go around him. And up the hill in the far lane, oncoming lane, which was single lane, I see something next to the guardrail. Well, I'm thinking a deer at that time of night. I think it's a deer coming over the guardrail. So I started slowing down. I flipped my headlights up on bright. Closer and closer I get, I realize this ain't no deer. And this thing looked like it either stepped over or put its hand over and kind of pulled itself up over the guardrail. And by now I've stopped in the middle of the highway, and the little car I was passing is pulled just past me in the slow lane, and he stops too, and we both flip our headlights up on bright. Well, this thing just strides across 3 lanes of highway right in front of us, probably. I've always said about 30 or 40 yards away. Crosses 3 lanes of highway in 7 or 8 steps on 2 feet.
Wow.
So after all these years of reading about it, watching TV shows, believing in it, lo and behold, I finally see something. So, like I said, you go from being a believer to a knower just like that. Because we're sitting there, and it gets to the far side of the shoulder there on our side, goes right up a hill that no man could go up and keep his back straight, and it goes up and just lickety split like it ain't nothing into the trees. I sit there a second, and I kind of look over at the guy in the car next to me, and he's just got that I saw a ghost look on his face. Eyes that big around. And I'm sure I probably had something similar on my face. Because I didn't even speak, I just mouthed, what did we just see through the window? And he just kind of shook his head and he took off. Well, I sat there for a second, watched to see if I could see anything else, never did. And then it dawned on me, what are you going to do if there's more than one of them? What are you going to do if it comes back?
Right.
You're sitting here. That thing could walk up and rip the door off your car and pull you out of it. You wouldn't be able to do nothing about it. So I take off and I was like, well, I'm going to catch this guy and compare notes. What did he see? What did I see, you know? And he was about 3 car lengths ahead of me by then, and I was flashing my lights, honking my horn. He wasn't having none of it. I finally turned off the highway where I turned off to go to my house, and he was still headed north. That's the last I ever saw of him. But what I saw, the best I could tell, was at least 8 foot tall, kind of a reddish brown, built like
Sounds like it's like Big Red, the ones up at your place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Where'd you go, Barry?
All I did was move my keyboard a little bit to get room. I don't think that had anything to do with it.
like I said,
We're
goes
gonna
that
play it.
built better than any weightlifter you can imagine. I mean, I say this. I never did get a good look at his face because it was kind of facing a 3/4 angle, kind of angling away from us. I don't know if it was avoiding the headlights. It never put its hands up or nothing to block them or anything, and it never acted like it cared that there was 2 vehicles, like I said, sitting 40 yards from it. It just strode across there like it owned the place. And like I said, it was at least 8 foot tall. I bet it was 4.5, 5 foot wide across the shoulders.
Yeah, I can
And the
believe
part that
that.
always stuck with me, I bet the thing was 3.5 foot thick through the torso from front to back. And I've always said nothing is supposed to be that big.
Yeah,
Everybody talks about how big bears are, how big moose and all that. I was like, this thing, there really ain't nothing to compare it to. It's twice as big as anything else you stack up against it. And I mean, with the high beams on, you can see the leg muscles, thighs, and calves, and hips, especially, and up in its back, moving as it walked. Just in a few seconds as it strolled across that highway up 6 or 7 steps. And you realize the way this thing moved, it wasn't worried about 2 vehicles sitting 40 yards from it. It wasn't worried about much of nothing. The way it strolled across there and swung them big long arms, this thing didn't care. If either one of us to hit it with those cars, it'd have totaled the car and everybody in it, but I don't believe it would have done much to it.
All right.
So that was my first actual, and people try to tell me you saw a deer, you saw a bear, somebody pranking you. No. Who's going to sit out there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on the off chance that on the off chance somebody might drive up through there in a suit that would be hotter than the Dickens in the middle of nowhere.
And I don't know how it is around here, especially used to, and they liable to get shot.
Yeah, that's what I've always said.
Yeah.
Plus, you're playing around, and you think it's me getting ready to come up that hill, and it's an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
Well, you better be able to cross the road in about 6 steps.
Get flat.
Yeah. So after that was in my late 20s, early 30s. I'm 46 now. Just turned 46 Monday. Here about 4 or 5 years later, stuff started happening here around the house. And for the longest time, I never put 2 and 2 together. And finally I started seeing and hearing stuff, and I started thinking, all this kind of sounds familiar. Other people describing the same thing. Because I knew they'd been seen in Kentucky, and I knew what I saw one time. But not in my backyard, 7 miles down the road.
Right.
And there's been all kinds of stuff. I don't know how many different stories you want to hear, but there's been all kinds of crazy stuff going on around here for years, last 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, that's what got me and Wendell together. I was having so much stuff going on around here, and I just wasn't thinking, what's doing this?
Mhm.
And anyway, Wendell, I saw. I guess it was Arkansas boys. I guess is where I first saw about you. And I just sent him a message. I was like, I got something going on around here. And they come down and
Mhm.
Yeah, it was me.
Well, back- I was gonna say, back when I had that roadside sighting or road crossing sighting, whatever you want to call it, that was back in MySpace days. Facebook wasn't even a thing yet.
yeah.
Because I remember that's where I went trying to find somebody to talk to, or MySpace, where everybody knows how MySpace was. That was the wild, wild west on the internet.
It's hard to find somebody to talk about or talk to. Like I said, before you got on, we was talking about Bigfoot stickers on our vehicle. It's actually opened up a lot of doors. People really into that Bigfoot stuff. Well, I've had some encounters. I'll tell you, if you had any around. Well, I did this one thing.
Yeah.
It goes from there.
While I was at work today, I took a delivery out to a guy that runs a taxidermy.
Oh, he froze up again. Taxidermy and it went off.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go, Barry?
I was going to say, he runs a taxidermy shop. We just shoot the bull for a couple minutes, and they know that I'm into it and everything. I said, 9 out of 10 people, if you ask them if they saw a Bigfoot, they're going to say no.
Yep.
But hunters and fishermen, 9 out of 10 of them ask, have you ever seen something or heard something or found something or had something strange happen to you out in the woods or on the water at night or even during the daytime? It's the opposite. 9 out of 10 of them say, yeah, I've seen some strange stuff. I've heard some strange stuff. Most people won't come right out and say they think it's Bigfoot, but they'll admit there's stuff out there that they can't figure out.
That's like I got a film about 5 miles. He was on the creek. You ever seen a bear go up the bluff face straight up? I said, no, not really. Got down, but going up. I said, how straight up you talking? It's close to 90 degrees. We went right up it like it was nothing. It was huge. If it was a bear, it's the biggest thing I ever seen. He said, it just went right up that bluff like nothing. He said, but I don't know if it's a bear. I said, it probably wasn't no bear.
Well, that's kind of like the hillside there next to the highway. I watched it go up into the tree line. It's probably a 65-degree angle, and this thing's keeping its back straight going up at. Whereas most men, you'd have to use your arms to grab a hold of the trees or the grass and pull yourself up it.
We know about that. Don't we?
Yeah. I fell off the bluff side over there and broke the reel.
Mm-hmm. You just talk about the stickers. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you talk about taxidermy side. We had a neighbor close by that he went to taxidermy school and everything, and he works night shift up where I used to work before I retired. And he comes home real late at night. And one day we were just standing out there, and I was talking to his nephew. And he said, I come by your driveway the other night about 3 o'clock in the morning. He said there was a big old red-haired SOB running right down the middle of your driveway toward me. And I figured, well, he's a taxidermist. I said, what was it? He says, I have no idea. And I'm like, okay. I hadn't mentioned any big red to anybody up here. Said Wendell.
Well, Wendell's talking about the stickers get people talking. Here about 2 weeks ago, I think Wendell heard about this. I was sitting in line at the drive-thru at the bank, and I look over, and the guy next to me's got a Bigfoot sticker on the back of his truck on his tailgate. I just looked out the window. I was like, I like that sticker. We get to talking. Well, my brother swears he saw one run past his house. Well, where's your brother live? Right here in the same county as me, on the same road where I've heard vocals. A guy I've worked with has heard vocals, and three other people that live on it have reported vocals and odd stuff going on right within probably a 3 or 4 mile stretch of each other. Yeah, the stickers work.
Yeah, they definitely do. They want to open the door.
Yeah. Of course, I got that attitude. I don't care if people think I'm crazy, stick around very long. I'll remove all doubt. But I'll just walk up and start talking about Bigfoot. About like I walk up and start talking about God and Jesus. People just look at me like I got 3 heads, but that's okay.
Yeah, my grandkids love kidding me about it.
Yeah. Oh, I get plenty of that too. People just realize it ain't gonna do no good. You ain't gonna change my mind. I mean, so saying I know what I've seen. Think what you want to.
I hear a lot of people. Kind of talk behind me and everything. But that might be smart because I'm 6'5" and 384 pounds.
Yeah. I'm only 5'7", but I'm about 225. I'm kind of like a Sasquatch. I'm about as thick and wide as I am tall, but they don't give me too hard of a time because really it's split about 50-50. Half my co-workers believe and half don't. About half my friends, half my church friends, they'll at least, well, it might, maybe. So I don't catch too much crap for it. There's 1 or 2 like give me a hard time, but like you said, they don't push it too far.
Right. We was talking about different towns. Not this last investigation, but the one before. Me and Dale and Clint was sitting on the log. That was the weirdest sound that come from. I would say that after what they want. He played a clip of it later, but I never heard it. It sounded like it. It started off at the whoop, and then at the end, it ended in just a whirl sound. Yeah. And
I didn't hear anything like that.
You know that one we heard up there that ended. That sounded like an air tool in a tire shop at the end of it. You know that was the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I say the weirdest sound I've ever heard, and I can't say that a Bigfoot made it because I didn't see what made it. It was broad daylight, and I always compared it to a Native American war cry. I said I wouldn't have been surprised if Geronimo had come riding up out of a holler on a war pony. But it was 3 times louder than any person could make. I mean, it almost shook the trees.
Boy, you can feel that in your chest when you hear it.
I wasn't close enough for that. It was off in the distance, but I mean, just the pure volume of it, you hear somebody there. Like I said, just like in the old westerns, you know, when they'd ride out on the warpath, that's what it sounded like. Only ungodly loud. I sat there in a minute and I looked over. I was out on the deck. Mom was in the house. I was like, "Did you hear that?" No.
Cold.
How did you miss it? And like I said, I don't know that was Bigfoot, but I don't know what else makes a noise like that either.
That's the same thing what we heard. We sat there and looked at each other and we was packing with gun and everything. We might not have enough firepower. But three of us there.
Well, it's funny how it seems like they'll wait till you're least expecting it. Like that afternoon, I was standing out on the front deck. I don't know, probably wasn't really doing anything. Probably Sunday or Saturday afternoon off work, just standing there watching the world pass me by. And out of the blue, here comes this noise. I'm saying, what on God's green earth was that?
Well, some of them vocals that I sent you that Julie Wrench took out on her place.
Yeah.
Up there on the Uwharrie Forest. Man, them things are crazy. Sound like a little kid trying to call to her like, Julie.
I haven't heard that personally. And I recorded one night there was some coyotes carried on and something else mixed in with them. And a friend of mine listened to it on headphones, and he said he could hear what sounded like a woman singing in behind it all. He could hear the coyotes and whatever else was carrying on. He's like, but it sounds like a woman singing or humming real low. A woman's voice. I was like, well, it was 11 o'clock at night out behind my house. I guarantee you, I hope there ain't no women down in them woods singing a song at that time of night.
That's like the time before over when we camped at Neil's place. We heard all these kids hollering, and it was 31 degrees and 11 o'clock at night. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but it sure sounded like kids just keeping up a storm, and they were speaking Japanese. So,
well, everybody calls it the samurai chatter.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's creepier than one out there bellowing at the top of its lungs and beating on its chest. I'd rather have King Kong bellowing and beating on its chest and sound like kids talking or something.
That's why that did. That freaked us all out.
Now, this is another, and Bigfoot didn't make this noise. I don't know what did. I was out one day, broad daylight, looking for signs and everything, and I heard twice what sounded like either Native American or like Irish folk flute music. Like a melody, a tune, just out of nowhere on a flute. I mean, something like sound like Lord of the Rings music or something, or Native American pipe music.
Yeah.
And it'd go on for a few seconds, it quit, and I stood there and I was like, well, this is it. I finally lost my mind. I'm literally hearing things now. And then it did it again. That was one of the times I was all right, I'm out of here. I'm going back to the house. I don't know what's going on, and I ain't sure I want to find out.
Right.
But that is stuck with me, that flute music.
You know, that last time we were out, and Thomas and I were kind of basically sitting around the campfire with our guns because there's so much stuff going on. And it sounded like we were trying to wake Wendell up. And it sounded like a pack of coyotes just getting a dog tore out of them. I mean, they were in pain. I mean, it was like you could tell that wasn't coyotes that was just yelping. That was coyotes that were hurting. It beat anything I ever heard. I wish we got that on
one night 2 or 3 years ago. And once again, it sounded like something else was mixed in with them that was doing the hurting. You just heard fewer coyotes until you didn't hear no coyotes. And that's been 3 or 4 years ago. And ever since, you hardly see a coyote around here. And we had a pretty good pack that ran these ridges over here. And I told Mom, I said, something has almost wiped them coyotes out. And it ain't easy to wipe a good-sized pack of coyotes out.
No. But that's not the first time that happened. On one of our episodes, we went up. Taped Billy Walker encounter. He lived on one side of the lake. Across from it, he heard that several nights. It sounded like it just tore up and everything. And they actually went over to the other side of the lake and found them. That was all tore up over there. And then the week later, when he encounter, it crossed the road, kind of like you. Him and his friend was coming back from the morning, and they saw it. It said it looked more like 8 by 8, and it actually pulled itself through its arms. There you go. There's different. I believe there's 4 different types of Bigfoot. At least 4.
Makes sense. I mean, how many different breeds of a dog is there in the world?
Yeah.
How many different kinds of birds, fish, whatever?
Yeah.
I mean,
all got the same stuff, but it looks the same.
Yeah. I mean, I got a bloodhound. I went to a delivery today. It had a Chihuahua. They're both dogs, but they barely look anything alike.
Well, y'all got any?
Now, we never did find any dead coyotes, but they was way back in the hall, or further back than I'm going by myself at night to see what's going on.
Right. Understandable.
Y'all excuse me for this.
Bigfoot
Been a long, hot day.
Going on out there, Mary?
What's that?
Do y'all have anything kind of like a Bigfoot or anything like that?
We have.
Anytime this year?
You talking about like a convention?
Yeah.
Y'all froze on me.
Did you freeze? He froze on us, or we froze on him?
You talking about like a convention window?
Froze on us, or we froze on him? Yeah, like a convention.
Froze up again.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Here.
They have a couple here in Kentucky. They have one called Wild Man Days. It's down around trying to think. Of course, most of them got canceled for a couple of years because of everything going on. Wild Man Days, I think, is down around Lawrenceburg somewhere, which is basically the other end of the state for me. And then we have one Cryptid Con. They had it 2 years in Frankfurt. The first convention I ever went to was it. And then they had the last 2 years. They skipped a year, or no, they had 1 year in Lexington, skipped a year, had another, and they're supposed to have it again this year in November in Lexington. They bring in Cliff and Bobo.
Here down in Foul, and then they got one in Ball and over in the Washington Mountain. I'll be posting about it. We used to have one in Collins. Hadn't heard.
Really?
Yeah.
They haven't gotten real big here in Kentucky yet, the conventions. Now, I know a couple of researchers that do little small, like library type presentations.
Right.
Charlie Raymond, he's with the BFRO, and I saw on Facebook today, I think he's doing 3 presentations in a day in 3 different places in a county down there where he lives. The library and one of the schools or something, and somewhere else. 3 in a day. I was like, well, my hat's off to you.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do that.
They had one down around Bologna here a couple of years ago, didn't they?
Yeah. It was Bologna first, and then they moved to Conway. I was trying to think of his name. A good friend of his. I didn't talk to him about a year. That hosted that. Well, that's his sometimers again.
Mm-hmm. We need to get to the point where, like Ohio, I swear by Facebook and everything else, if you watch it, seems like they have one every other week up there somewhere. I believe Ohio has more than Washington or California.
Yeah.
And it look like Washington would have many more than anybody.
You would think. Like I said, just going by like Facebook stuff, it seems like every time you turn around, Ohio's having one. Now I know over in West Virginia and Virginia, they have a couple of 2 or 3 a year up there, I think.
Right.
But for some reason around here, like I said, they just ain't took off yet.
One of my wife's real good friends lives really close to Spokane, Washington, and she said they just reports from everywhere around there. And I was like, man, that's pretty nice. That'd be a researcher's heaven out there.
Oh, I'd say so. A few years back, I had some buddies went up to some little town just south of Seattle, out in the middle of nowhere. They was moving his brother down here to Kentucky. I didn't get to go with him because I had to work. They said, I could make a good road trip for you. That's Bigfoot Central up there. I was like, yeah, rub it in. And they was joking. They stopped at a truck stop or a Waffle House or something. And they was joking, yeah, Barry was up here. We'd never get him out of here. He'd be out in the woods and fields somewhere running around looking for Bigfoot. We'd never get him back to Kentucky. Well, they said there was a couple state troopers sitting a couple tables over. And one of them said, well, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I heard y'all's comments about your buddy looking for Bigfoot. And if he come up here, he wouldn't have to look hard and he wouldn't have to look far.
That's kind of like up at Neil's place.
Yeah.
Everybody and their grandma's got a Bigfoot in their front yard. Stores are selling Bigfoot.
Well, apparently he was talking about the real deal. They was laughing about me, you know. I'd be up there looking for it. And he said he just turned around and looked up and said, well, I couldn't help but overhear you.
Boom, you froze.
I hate the internet.
When you go talking anything,
He just said that he wouldn't have to look long, wouldn't have to look far. Yeah. We've had a couple interesting things here lately. You saw the one trail cam that had that real weird, blurry effect on it. Window.
Yeah. Oh,
Whoop.
he's going.
Come back, Barry.
Well, I've had all kinds of up at your place, Dale, is where we'd have pictures and it'd have a blurred image on it, like something reached around the tree and went like that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I ain't posted them because I can't say it's Bigfoot or not, but it's definitely something reached around the tree.
Yeah. Well, you know, like a neighbor down there lost all them chickens. You know, he had some of them real good game cameras up. And I hadn't told him anything about Big Red. And he's telling me, he says, I just want to tell you, said, there's something big moving on your mountain. He said, I put all these game cameras up to find out where all my chickens was gone, and said, only thing I get's a big red blur. So red was coming in quick and leaving.
Yep. Now, the only thing I've had on the cameras here recently, I don't know if y'all saw, I think Wendell saw it, the one that looked like almost like a hand waved right in front of it real quick.
Yeah.
And then I had that one, wasn't Bigfoot, I don't know. People said it's water on the lens, but it wasn't raining, and it was middle of the afternoon, so it wasn't dew. Just that real blurry, wavy, almost, I don't really go for it, but the whole cloaking thing almost looked like there was something there that you couldn't see. I don't know what it was. I don't even like to think about it.
we got into a big discussion on the Arkansas cartel, and they all got and all. And I said, they're cloaking ain't flesh and blood, but this body devil or spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my personal.
Like I said, I don't know what it was. I don't even like to think about it. And if I never see it again, I'll be just as happy.
Right.
I'm gonna try to fix me up.
Go ahead.
One of the game cameras. Have you seen these little tiny spy cameras that's only like 3/4 of an inch diameter?
Yeah.
And they got magnetic backs on them. I was thinking you could go up to an oak tree somewhere and just tack a roofing nail in it and stick it on there. And it'd almost be impossible to see it.
Yeah, it'd be definitely very hard for them to see, but the only thing with it, I don't know how to work it out. You get good daytime.
I was going to ask, do they use infrared like a game camera does, or?
Yes, they sure do. They got infrared on them.
If they got infrared, you'd be able to see at night, but depending on who you ask, the Bigfoot could see the infrared. So,
you know, if you had an old piece of rotted log, and just cut that open and put that thing in the inside of it, drill a little hole so it can see out. You just lay that old piece of wood out there in the woods.
might work.
Yeah.
Always worth a try.
Mm-hmm. Those things aren't that bad expensive. I've been looking at them on the internet, and I'd like to try that.
I don't know how much they are. What?
I think they range anywhere from like 24 to like $36.
24, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be worth right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Little bucks.
I thought about, some of them, they're about ½ inch thick, about 3/4 diameter, and they got a magnetic back on them. You could just drive a roofing tack and just stick them up in a tree bark somewhere and just let that thing sit there, and they're motion detector too. So anything comes in front of them, they keep recording as long as there's movement.
Right. Yeah.
And I think, man, that might be the way to go instead of these big game cameras. The trouble is finding them when you want to check them.
Yeah, that'd be the trouble. It'd be definitely less for them to smell or see, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Are we all here?
Yeah, we all back now.
You got any more questions?
What's that?
And I ain't had any more questions. Usually I have several questions. But
I haven't seen anything. I must have run them all off. Now, Monday night, I'd worked an 11-hour shift, hot, miserable. I come in, I hadn't even ate yet. Well, the back security perimeter motion light just started going off every couple minutes. I'm sitting there, I'm hot, hungry, I'm tired. I was like, you know what, I ain't in the mood for this tonight. I don't care who or what's out there. So probably not the smartest thing I ever did. I didn't even grab a gun. I grabbed the ball bat, and out the door I went. Back around the house, back down to the tree line. And I'm standing there, and all I see is a couple branches move about 8 foot off the ground. Don't see nothing, don't hear nothing. But it was like an electric bolt went through me. I got the willies, about the worst I've ever had them. And I mean, every hair on my body was standing right straight up, and my skin was just crawling. And I was standing there, I kind of looked down at that ball bat. That's about the time, I realized this might not be the best idea I've ever had. So I stood there a minute. I mean, it was dead graveyard quiet out there. No crickets, no frogs, nothing. I stood there a couple minutes, and I backed back up the hill to the house. Never did see nothing. That's about to, like I said, I don't spook easy, but that's about as close as I've been in a while. And then just the other night, Mom found right under the kitchen window, I can't make out exactly what they are. They're prints but they're small and they look like they got toes but no claws.
Hmm.
I told her whatever it is ain't too big and it ain't too heavy because it didn't press down into the loose dirt real bad. She's like, "You think it'd be a juvenile or a baby?" I was like, "I can't rule it out, but I can't say it is because they're not even deep enough to cast. I mean, you can make out a heel here and a couple toe prints there. But there ain't no claw prints with them, so... Because at first I was thinking cat or raccoon or possum or something like that. Any of them, I would think I'd be able to find claw marks somewhere.
Good thing. Good thing.
But I mean, these are probably about a time and a half as big as my hand. I can't even get my hand in front of the camera. I'm so close. About a time and a half the size of my hand. Which could be a good sized cat or something, but there ain't no claw marks.
Yeah, that's pretty big for a cat. Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah. But it ain't quite big enough to make you think Bigfoot.
Right.
Well, you know, we saw some little dinky ones up there on a mountain.
For a
I
cat.
think what window about.
Like I said, it's kind of big for a cat or anything like that.
Window about 6 inches long.
What's that?
We saw some small tracks up at Dale's place there by the caves. It was about 6 to 7 inches long. We saw some small tracks up 7 inches long.
Yeah. Like I told Mom, I don't want to turn into one of them guys that everything. Did y'all catch it?
No, you said everything and then it blurred out. No, you.
I just told Mom I don't want to turn into one of them.
Somebody's
Yeah, that's
stopping
twice.
you from saying that.
Yeah. That's proof right there that somebody's messing with the internet. On the same word 2 times in a row, it stopped.
I hope he starts again. When he gets to that word, I'm going to go boom and make it look like magic.
Yeah.
There we go. Maybe.
Maybe back again. You stopped on the same
Can y'all
word
hear me?
twice. Yeah. No.
Hmm. They don't want him to talk about it at all.
No, they don't. Well, we ain't seen Neil none. They must be working him to death at work.
How's he feeling lately?
He says he's doing good and everything, but he's got a lot of health problems that he needs prayers bad.
Yeah.
He's got on top of all that, he's got all the stuff going on with his custody battle with over his son and everything. So
Yeah, that's bad news.
bad deal. Bad deal.
Mhm. There's Barry.
There's Barry.
There I am. No, all I was trying to say is like I told Mom, I don't want to turn into one of them guys that everything's Bigfoot. There's a Bigfoot behind every bush.
Yeah.
I was going to
yeah.
wait till you got that one word, and I was going to go boom and make you disappear again.
I don't want to turn into that. I don't want to turn into that guy, but I'm not going to be one of them guys like I've said before that Bigfoot can walk up and knock on his door and ask for a cup of sugar, and they still swear up and down there wasn't no such thing.
Right.
Seen that.
I know a couple like that.
Hey, if you do turn into one of them guys, you need to get you a good supply of red ink pens and stuff so you can make all them circles and the arrows.
Even if you won't be able to see Bigfoot, you can see the circles and arrows anyway.
Yeah. I've seen some ridiculous stuff lately.
Well, speaking of seeing, I guess we've all seen the last episode of Expedition Bigfoot with Russell and the thing that stood up on the ridge across from him there?
Yeah.
I stopped watching that when they got caught faking at the gold mine. I was like,
I didn't know they got caught faking a gold mine. Anyway, I don't put a lot of stock in it, but every now and then they'll come across something that's interesting. What did you think about it, Wendell?
It's back. It's a long way. It's definitely something that split up.
Yeah.
And walked off.
Like I told Mom, what I didn't understand, the same episode, they had the guy with that LiDAR technology doing all their comparisons and stuff for a stick from 60 years ago to figure out how tall Patty was. And they didn't have him do the same thing to something they got on video a week ago.
Yeah, on the other mountain.
Yeah, that they actually saw themselves. Why did they not have him use the LiDAR to figure out how tall it was? Things that make you go,
Yeah.
Well, that was the only thing about me. It didn't look all that big. As far, it was tall, but it wasn't real bulky.
Yeah, it wasn't massive.
No. So I told Mom, I said, that could, and they was right on the verge that government property. I could very well have been a soldier in a ghillie suit or something.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if they're really serious about getting a comparison for size, they could do what we did out there on the mountain that day. You know, over at Neil's place. You know, where we went to the same spot where y'all seen that stuff before. I mean, there's ways to compare for size and stuff.
Right. Like Mary was saying, they was there, so why didn't they go over there and compare? Have somebody stand where they was at and have them look at it through this camera again and see how much taller it was compared to who was standing there.
That's why I'm always telling people on the internet there. I'm like, you know, okay, if it was a Bigfoot, go out and take a picture at the same time. And if that dark spot's still there, it's probably not a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I've had to tell people that. Well, this thing's been standing there for 3 days. Well, if it stood in the same spot for 3 days and ain't moved, chances are it's not a Bigfoot or anything else alive.
Yeah.
I don't know too many things that are going to stand perfectly still for 3 days.
Yeah, and that's the same way with a structure. If you're around one or in, if you take a picture of it every time you go there, you can see what's been added from the last time. You know, something or somebody or something's going on. It don't just grow on its own.
Yeah. Now, we've had a couple here close to the house. We didn't even have to take pictures. You walk out there one day and it's that big. Walk out there a week later and it's a foot taller. Like I said, you don't even have to take pictures at that point when you can actually sit there and watch the thing grow.
Well, BFRO had a picture. About maybe 4 years ago. I took it and did a lot of analyzation of that picture, trying to figure out, try to bring the contrast and the colors and everything out. And that one was just lucky enough that it had an old deer stand was in the picture. So they had something that they could actually go out and measure and compare, from the distances and everything and figure out how big this thing actually was in that picture. And I mean, it is a monster. And judging from the size of the deer stand, the known distance and everything, and this thing was like walking right beside it. That thing was like 11'6".
Wow.
That's a big creature. And just looked like a weightlifter walking down through there. And everybody's like, well, that's probably a guy in a suit. I was like, no, you can't fake big.
That's like Barry was saying when that in Crossroad. You can't fake massive and 3 foot thick and wide.
Mm-hmm.
Out running around in a monkey costume.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
Mom
don't-
even
I
asked
don't-
about stilts one time, and I was like, Mom, literally the only place I've ever seen anybody on stilts is in the circus. You can't run through the woods on stilts.
Nope.
Unless you do a lot of sheetrocking.
Yeah. Yeah, all the routes and stuff I'd like to see somebody try.
Yeah.
That name finally come to me. That the one that put the Bigfoot conference on at Valonia and Conway, Robert Swain, is his name. The guy that puts that on, Robert
What's
Swain.
the last name again?
Swain, Swain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he puts that
Kind of
on.
rings the bell for some reason.
Yeah. He's the one over. It's called the Apes Group, APES, Bigfoot Group out of Central Arkansas. But he's a pretty good friend. Him and DW Darkwing, what's his name, are good friends. The one out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Bigfoot guy out of there.
Whoop.
We lost Barry again. Wow, it's already 9 o'clock. We made our hour, Dale.
Huh?
I said we made our hour. I didn't think we'd have enough to talk about, but
And you ain't lost me yet.
oh, there's Barry back. Let me at him.
Yep. Well, I hate to do it, but like I said, I just got off work when you contacted me. I'm going to have to get off here and get something to eat. My belly button's gnawing on my backbone right now.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. We made our hour here.
Yeah.
We didn't even figure. Like I said, we had three other guests that was lined up, and it all just fell through one right after the other.
That's how it goes.
Filling in a peanut there, Barry.
Yeah. I had that happen more than once, you know.
Yep.
Literally 5 or 10 minutes before you go on air. Oh, I can't make it. Well, what changed in the last 5 or 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff happens.
Sounds kind of like a camp out.
Comments either one of you want to make or anything before we call it an end here? I guess Barry don't. Barry don't.
Either that or he's real steel.
Even if I did, the internet ain't going to let me. But no, like I said, just God bless y'all. Thank you for letting me have.
Well, God bless you, Barry.
Yeah, God bless you. Good seeing you again.
Good seeing you again.
If we get a chance to do it again, I'll have y'all on. We can talk more about, like I said, there's other stuff that's went on around here over the years.
Awesome. Sounds good. Just let us know. Dale's got his internet working good now, so.
New laptop.
Oh, new laptop fixed it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna call it a wrap then, and we'll try to line up some guests and everything for next month around the 23rd. That's the date we picked to try to all get together and do this and everything. And I want to thank everybody for watching us. And then if you got any questions between now and then, think of them and email them to me or Dale. Or when we go live, leave your comment here. And BC Davis is going to try to be back on next month. He's got some strange occurrences that's happened recently around Bald Knob Lake.
Oh, really?
More on the UFO side, but I told him we were willing to talk about it if he's had it.
I can do that. You gone, Wendell?